Hi guys, in this video I would like to take a look at the new React API, which is called hooks, and which allows to create stateful components as simple functions. Although I'm very happy that React team is making that move, I know that for many people who are used to object-oriented approach, that change can be quite tricky. So I thought I'd share a quick tutorial on how to migrate a class-based component to a functional one. Here on this screen you can see a simple component which is based on a stateful class, as you always do in React. If we refresh the screen, you can see it loads for some time, then it displays a list of employees, and then you can change salary here and press save button and see that it's really saving. So let's see how it looks like. As you can see here, this is a class which extends the React component, and it has two variables here, loading and saving, to display the spinner. Then here we have the mandatory binding functions. Then we have a render method which displays the table with the employees. Then we have component did mount, which load employees, and here it will just load the employees and set states with load and false, so we know that the spinner should be removed. And then we have a save function, which again puts in the saving as true and performs a save employees function, and then simply sets the result to the state. So the first thing that we need to do is to update the React and React DOM libraries to the latest alpha versions. And to do this, we do yarn add React Next and React DOM Next. Those are the versions that contain the new hooks API. Okay, now let's see if it still works. Okay, seems to be still working. So now let's actually change it to a function. So we'll start by declaring a function which is called app. And the first thing we need to do is we need to define what state we will be using. For this we use state function. As you can see here, we're declaring two variables here on the state, which is loading and saving. Let's do it. So for every variable we declare this variable and the setter for it. So for example, for the loading, we have loading and set loading. And then we do use state, and here we provide the default value for this variable, which will be false. Let's do the same thing for the saving. There we go. So that's it. We don't need the bindings because we don't use this anymore, and we don't need the constructor at all, so we just remove this. Now this render function we will just copy here because we will still need to return the same layout. So far so good, but as you can see we have an error here that it doesn't understand what's employees here. And because we need to define it as a state as well. And I won't pass anything here because I don't care at this point. If it's undefined, that's fine. Then the next error we'll have here is set state. Because we don't have set state here, and we don't really have this here anymore, we can simply say here set employees and pass employees here. This function set employees is defined, as you remember, here. And the next thing here is on click we should use the state function, The save function is not presented here, so we'll just remove this, and we will copy and paste on this method here. Now it's called a function, and for the instead of calling this set state, we will simply call set saving true. We don't have to do this because we already have employees in the scope, so we just remove this line. This is still relevant, and here we will need to set saving to false and set employees to new employees. So two things to note here. The first thing is, as you can see, I declared this save function after I return layout. We can do this because of the hosting in the JavaScript. I like to do this because I like to see what's important at the top of the file, and then all the functions go after what's being rendered. So for me, it's kind of easy to understand this code. The second thing is that, as you can see, since those functions are declared in the upper function, which is called up, it means that our inner functions have access to these variables that we declared here. So we don't need to do this const destructor load and saving equal this dot state as we usually do. We just have these variables in the scope already. So that's it with the save function. Now we need to also copy the load in place function. How we do this? Again, we simply copy it here, call it the function, and we will change it to set loading true, set loading false, set employees. As easy as that. Now, in order to do this component did mount functionality, we need to use another hook, which is called use effect. Use effect will accept a function which will be running every time there's an update to the component, and we will pass the second argument to this an empty array, which means we only need to run this the first time it loads. So we're basically doing this as a component did mount function. And here we will simply use load employees function. And that's it. We can simply remove the class. We can remove the component input from here. We don't have any warnings, any errors, so it should be just working like that. Let's see if it still works. It seems so. If you click the save, it still works as well. So let's take a moment to appreciate what we have here. First of all, we have a function, which is a stateful component without using classes. So this is just a function, and we declare the state with useState hook, and we declare the effects with useEffect hook, which in this case works as a simple component dismount hook.